Did you miss me?
The territorial expansion of the United States was beneficial to the United States in a number of ways. First of all, expanding the boundaries of the United States from sea to shining sea would affect the economy by the West Coast seaports, allowing us to trade with Asia. The expansion of the United States also reduced the need to deal with the British, eliminating all British influence. Outward expansion also made it possible for the southern states to expand a burgeoning economy through the maintenance of slavery to grow crops. Growth of the United States freed up space for the continued immigration and population growth, which made more businesses and jobs for immigrants. Power in numbers was a marvelous reason to expand. Politically, the expansion of the United States was a great benefit of the American people and government for many reasons. One of those reasons was continentalism, or the destiny to be one continent, one nation, and to have unison in language, political agendas, religion, and common happiness for peace and prosperity. Along with this came the rejection of the old world monarchy in favor of republicanism. Another prime example is the Puritan idea for American exceptionalism, the idea that America would be a shining example to the old world. Then the Monroe Doctrine of 1823, which basically stated that the Western Hemisphere was off limits and was not open for European colonization. This was closely related to the Manifest Destiny in that sense. The combination of all of these political ideas were just a few of the beliefs that fueled the American expansion. Originally, Manifest Destiny was the belief that God wanted the people of the United States to settle the land to the west of the Mississippi and to claim it as their own, as to keep it from the British. Eventually, it was transformed into a conquest of the northern continent. In the end, it turned into a thought process established by the church that coerced the American people, that not only was it economically beneficial for them to control the land, but that it was the will of the Lord Himself. Regardless of whether or not it was true, the American majority took to it like wildfire, and a new reason for the domination of the American continent was born. Many of the people of that time period, predominantly in the South, believed that to be wealthy, you had to own slaves. That being said, the richest and most powerful men of the South owned slaves. They owned slaves to supply the growing demand of cotton in the South. This created a strong envy of the more fortunate people of the South by the less fortunate. The idea here was to buy slaves to produce cotton, to make money to buy more land and slaves, to produce more cotton. These people wanted cheap help or slaves so that they could be as rich as the people around them. As the horizons in every direction were either occupied or ruined by the cotton industry, Southerners looked out west for a new home and a money-making cotton plantation that was ripe for the picking. The Mexican-American War was an important war because it was one of our first as a free nation, and we fought it for land that is now a large portion of the U.S. Now, land wasn't the only reason we fought, but it was definitely a stupendous reward for winning. We acquired what is today Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Utah, and Nevada. Our corner of Wyoming was also in that region, so if we wouldn't have won, this land would be part of Mexico. There were many acts, compromises, and doctrines that were referring to slaves, including the Compromise of 1850, which was intended to stave off sectional strife by dealing with the spread of slavery, or the Dred Scott decision, which was a Supreme Court ruling that decided black men weren't free no matter how long they'd been living in the North, and that they had no rights, or the Freeport Doctrine, which stated that slavery could be excluded from the territories by local legislation. Others include the Fugitive Slave Law, the Kansas-Nebraska Act, the Missouri Compromise, and many more that rose attention. This fueled a territorial expansion by both sides of the slave argument, fighting over which land would be free and not.
What are you looking at?